Alright guys, welcome back to another video on the 54. I'm kind of at a point where I don't really know exactly what I want to do next. One of the things I need to do is roll these fenders. Now I bought the cheapest Fender Roller you possibly could buy off Amazon. I know the bolt pattern does not work because the Envoy bolt pattern sucks, but we're going to have to probably just hog out some holes there and make that fit, and we'll try to roll these fenders a little bit, get some more clearance in there, and then we're going to try to do some things under the hood. You know, I got some extra rad hoses and stuff, see what we can make work, make the rad work, if I could find a fuse block location and, you know, coolant overflow, that kind of stuff. So work done, just don't exactly know what we're going to get done, but we're going to get some shit done. So let's get after it. Okay, I got this Fender Roller. I kind of had to hog out the holes and modify a bit, and it's not sitting super flush, but it won't really matter for what I'm doing because the arc will still be like the same either way, and plus the fender arc isn't really perfect either. So the idea of it is just to put pressure on it, and as you roll it, it'll slowly work the fender out. Okay, let's see if I could show you. See, the lip is kind of folded up here. And that's really all I really needed. I didn't need much clearance. This is more for when it's kind of bagged down. Didn't change the fender or anything at all. If you come back to this side that I haven't done, might be hard to see on camera, but this lip kind of angles out. So all I kind of did is just massage that lip flat on the other side. That should give me the clearance I need. I'm going to do the other side to make it match, and then I'll put it on the ground and see what kind of clearance I got. So now let's go with the hand. How are we doing here? Don't touch there anymore. Don't touch there. Got lots of room here. Still a little tighter than I'd like up here. Now this side I did roll that. This side's like perfect. I'm happy with that. And I'll show you this side here. Here, let's go over to this side here. Got lots of room. Okay, we got the fenders all rolled and all worked out. I'm happy with that. I'm going to start addressing some things under the hood because it's just a mess and things need to be done. I briefly kind of ran the wiring harness from the interior out. Inside the truck is an absolute mess because I just threw everything I had for it inside the truck while I moved. So I still have another foot for this cable to come out. My original thought about this big fuse block, I mean, on the original Envoy, it kind of sat above the strut tower here, but my fenders on an Envoy are a lot different than back in the 50s. So our original thought was to throw it up on top of the booster here. I just tried it. It does not clear the hood. I probably could make it work, but it doesn't clear right now and doesn't really look the best. So my next thought is just to move it in front of the booster. There's a power steering line here, but that's show away. This thing I'll have to trim up a little bit. For the meantime, I'll just test fit it backwards. As long as I don't get in the way of the power steering cap there, it should be okay there. It definitely clears the hood there, so I'm happy with that. Cable at the moment doesn't reach, but I still have another foot inside and I'm only a few inches away from the port it needs to go. But I'm going to start cutting up this bottom bracket here and try to make some mounts. I think my plan is to maybe come off these strut tower mounts and then just kind of some flat bar up and whatever I can just to support this up here. And yeah, no, let's just start cutting some shit and figuring some stuff out here. Okay, I got this piece trimmed up. Pretty happy with that. It fits pretty nice here. I mean, there's a lot of wires and stuff that shouldn't necessarily be here at this time, but they are. So I think there, I'm inside the fender. Shouldn't have any hood clearance issues or nothing like that because I am below the engine, below the master cylinder. Still get access to my power steering. I mean, the hose lays underneath it, but that's fine. It doesn't touch it. So I think that's where we're gonna do it. Okay, here we are. Got my bracket from the fuse block. Got a bunch of scrap head kicking around. I think my first move is gonna take some angle iron, make it fit the 2 existing holes that are there. I'm gonna drill them out and add some riv nuts, and then I'll be able to bolt that into place. And then I'm gonna go probably some flat bar across to this side, make another hole, riv nut, bolt it in place, and then I'll build off that to the truck and then make it attached to the strut tower. So let's build some shit today. Okay, so I got my angle iron here, a couple 10 mils in there, pretty basic. Another piece of flat bar that I just bent to a 90, and I drill a hole through here, and then put another rib nut, and just put another 10 mil. And this fuse block will always be removable. Just got it tacked together for now. I'll weld it when it's apart. Okay, we're keeping this pretty simple here. Piece of angle iron with 2 holes drilled in on top of the strut. Got some nuts that just go right onto the strut studs. And what we're gonna do is set that on that guy there. It does just kind of want to sit there on its own. And then I'm just gonna bring the welder over and just tack this angle iron to this angle iron. It's gonna sit at kind of an angle because the strut tower brace is on an angle, but that's okay. We'll just tack it in place and we'll bring it to the bench and we'll weld it up. Look at this contraption. That sits flat, that sits up there. That there is just a bunch of pieces of metal welded together. Still a little warm right now, but we're gonna throw it on the truck, show you what it actually looks like. Okay, so I got one of the main connectors from this harness into the fuse block. What also runs off that harness is the ECM and the TCM connectors. I mean, if you're new, ECM is engine control module, TCM transmission control, so they're important. And I'm gonna have to put these modules, I'm hoping I could fill them kind of in this area here. Okay, this is my bracket, super simple, just a piece of angle iron off the rad support. I'm gonna just tack it in there. Got some rib nuts here for the ECM. I drilled these holes because the ECM has like some extra screws, so just so those recess into those holes and sit flat. And then on the upright, the TCM will kind of come out like this, but let's get this welded in and then I'll show you. Okay, bracket's welded in. See on this side, there's the TCM. Pretty straightforward. Does not touch the fender actually, it's close, but it doesn't. And there's the ECM. This way I could root all my wiring out of some type of grommet, because I'm gonna have to build some type of separation here to keep the engine bay clean and the wheel wells not. Okay, clearly nothing to worry about. Got room for days. I will have to, obviously, and I want to put inner fenders. Not necessarily inner fenders like a regular truck, but just something from the fender to the frame, just to keep that splash zone out. Alright, first thing on this side I'm tackling is this coolant overflow. The Envoy had a massive coolant overflow that was somewhere around here, and it went all into the inner fender and everything. This is from a Chevy SSR. If you're not familiar, the SSR, Envoy, Trailblazer, they all use a very, I would say the same frame. They're just, you know, different lengths and whatnot. Very, very similar. So I have it mounted to my third bolt for my strut mount here. It's just kind of floating here. The reason why I need this so high is because I've lowered my rad so much. So essentially I will fill my rad from this. I mean, the proper name for this is not overflow, it's a surge tank. So I'll fill my rad from this, you know, just let the air out here and then seal it back up, because my water outlet is taller than my rad, so air will always sit there. So I need this to be the highest point, and from what I can tell now, that bottle is higher than this hose, so that is good. And all I have to do is, just like in the SSR, I'm going to cut this hose and install a T, and I'll just tee it into there. Okay, I guess last week here when I was working on this overflow, my audio didn't work on my last clip here. So I'll just go over really quick now. I made a little bracket here just to kind of move this over so it would clear the hood a bit more. So that's just coming off one of the studs for the strut. And then off the firewall had a stud already. So I just went off that, quick 90 into another 90 up. And that fits in the factory mounting. So that's nice and tight, happy with that. I want to make something to hold this, I think, off of this bracket again. We'll just kind of come over, and I don't know if we'll just clamp it or what, but let's make a mount for that to start. Okay, we're gonna keep this really simple. I got a big hose clamp here. Take some flat bar. I am going to try to hammer a little bit of curve into it, and essentially it's just going to sit like that. Hose clamp will go outside of the flat bar, tighten it down, will hold into place. I'll just use a little bit of rod I got left over. See if I can do this with one hand. I'll come off this leg here, and then to the flat bar that will hold this AC in place. Okay, here we have the little finished design here, and we'll put it all back together now. Sometimes I just gotta remember to keep things simple. That took like 10 minutes to make. Easy. It's high enough for my sensor, high enough to get to my high side port, and clear the hood and everything. It's nice and tight. Happy with that. Let's move on. I think what I'm gonna do is tackle these rad hoses first, and then start filling in this area a bit. The top rad hose should be very simple because I just moved it closer, so it should just have to be trimmed a little bit. But we'll start with that, and then we'll get into this more complicated bottom one. Okay, I thought I'd just show you what I'm trying to tackle here. Since my rad's a lot closer to my frame here, I had to go kind of to a hard 90. I still might take a little bit more off. This is the original bottom rad hose. It is now upside down. This is the part that I attached to the engine, and then I trimmed it back. So it fits up there. I like that it roots up above the frame, doesn't go any lower than it needs to, and it stays completely out of the way of the suspension right here. So the idea is to turn up and go to a 90 here, and then it's gonna be some type of coupler. And then I bought a second lower rad hose. This one's obviously new, and I'm gonna try to make them connect somehow. Don't know for sure if this hose will work, but okay, I might have already figured out my plan here. So I got this coupler installed. It's obviously hanging way too far back this way, but this straight edge is pretty close to lining right up with the outlet I'm trying to hit. So I'm thinking if I just chop off this 90 and then slide that over, it would move this entire assembly over that way. And I might have to trim up a few times, seeing how close I get this to the frame rail. But I'm gonna cut up this new hose, and let's start there. I'm liking this so far. I don't think I could have planned this shit better. Comes off there pretty straight. Does touch the bolt head here, so I'm gonna get some protective sleeving for it. And touches up here, but it doesn't pinch the hose or anything like that. Comes completely away from the wheel and everything. It's right up close to the grill. And then I think I'm gonna order a second brand new hose and recut this one, leave this a little bit longer so it's more of a straight fit. But I mean, that kinks its way down to there, fits on there really nicely. So I'm super pleased with that, so I'll call that one a wrap. And let's move on to this air box. I think my air filter, it's gonna go somewhere down here. I'm gonna come into this area, try to stay above this brace would be ideal, and get some air from the grill would be amazing. Okay, this is a filter I have left over from my 86 C10. It's obviously, come on. It's obviously huge. It's like a 12-inch long filter, and I will not be running this big of one because it's gonna get into my headlight area and stuff. So I'm just zip tying it into place here because I kind of want to see if I can make this flange work here and get from the pipe to the flange. Then it doesn't matter what size filter I get. I just could get, 4-inch or 6-inch, and it'll be happy there. So I'm just trying to hold the flange into place here, and then we're gonna go from the top and take a look and see if we can make that corner or not. Okay, we're actually looking pretty decent up here. If I flex this accordion tube one over this way a bit, I'm thinking maybe like let's see if we can do this one hand, maybe a 3-inch, 4-inch piece of straight to like a 45 boot would angle me into here. Let's see if we get a better view there. Oh, it's dark. Hang on, let me get some lights. Yeah, hopefully that helps. So if I get, and here's my filter housing, I'm gonna have to notch a little bit into the fender, which doesn't bother me, that's fine. And then I'm thinking maybe a 45 out will put me kind of straight up, and then this might just sit on there. But I don't have any of those pieces, and I need to verify. So I do have my square body here that I made the intake pipe myself. The intake on this one goes from a 90 at the throttle body across to a 45 boot to about a 3-inch section to a really short filter because I didn't have much room. So I think I'm going to try to steal this 45 boot and this 3-inch section off here, see if I can make it work on the 51, and then I'll just order some for the 51. maybe even a shorter 45, I don't know. We'll get these off. So I got all these couplers out and tried placing them around everything. What I actually found is gonna work the best is this straight pipe. That's from the 86. This is like just from a cold air intake. I think I ordered it from a 2005 Silverado because that's what the engine of the C10 is out of. So rubber coupler to the straight to 45 pipe, as I'll show you in here. It comes out 45. That's really nice because I'm going to rotate this and clock it wherever I really need the filter to come out. Obviously this is hanging too low and I'm not going to cut this pipe, but if I take 3 or 4 inches out of this, it'll move that 45 up closer to the engine. And then if I could have this coupler coming out up here, just a basic filter down here, super easy. Okay, next thing I started working on here is these power steering lines. I didn't really film it, but if you remember, these kind of were just sitting up here to a massive cooler that I had laying across here. This is the big cooler that's just draining out here. So we don't need that big of a cooler, especially just for a power steering system. I have this much smaller one. I believe this is, I think this is out of like an Equinox. So I just disconnected that bigger one. I've just routed the lines kind of through the rad area there, and they're gonna pop out here. And I'm thinking I can just run this behind the grill like that. So we'll go up on the hoist here, take this wheel off and go through this wheel well. Okay, gave the factory power steering lines just a trim there. They line up pretty nice. This with this tab, I'm gonna probably just weld another tab onto this brace and make that kind of bolt in there like that. And then in the back or the bottom, I wanna see, I think these just open up. I wanna see if I could flip and reverse it so it comes out this way, maybe a lot closer to this, and then maybe just a piece of angle iron off that way, make that bolt up better. So I'll start by flipping this, and then we're gonna build a tab for this one, and we'll continue on, get this mounted. Okay, I got this wrapped up. I ended up flipping this top bracket as well, and then going angle iron to the frame. You can see on this one, angle iron to the frame. Pretty simple. I didn't film too much of it because it's kind of just taking some angle iron, putting a rib nut in it, welding it to the frame. Kind of what I've done all video, and I don't want this video to get too long, so that's why I didn't film it. So we're gonna wrap it up here. I mean, the truck doesn't look any different, but we got some important stuff done. Some things that you kind of have to do in body swaps. And I find on YouTube, not everybody's filming those things, the small little details. So it might be kind of boring, might be kind of dry footage and content, but I'm filming everything I gotta do on this thing from start to scratch. So it's gotta get done. We're gonna film it and post it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Next video, I'm gonna lower the truck here. In next video, we're gonna be back on this box. I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna get some box sides made. So I got some 14 gauge, bent up to my measurements, and got some piping. Piping's gonna run, not sure on this side, piping's gonna run along the top. These stake pockets were a bit out of the budget, so I'm gonna reuse these on the new ones. I got my bed made a few inches longer just so I could cover up the hitch, so I still could use the hitch. But make sure you stay tuned to that, because that's gonna be a fun one. Lots of fabrication, welding, whatever. And then we're gonna build some finalized box mounts, and then eventually go into the roll pan and finish up this metal work, and then we can start doing some body work. So stay tuned, make sure you guys subscribe, turn on those notifications. Thanks guys.